Welcome to the 5 to 9 episode. Our guest today is Esma Saeed Al-Kawari, digital humanist, marketeer, and a life coach. I think for today's episode, listeners or students who are interested in the intersection of technology and human behavior can really get a lot of value out of, and it's going to be interesting to them. So why don't you introduce yourself, tell us about your mood today, and give us some of your thoughts.
Sure. Esma Al-Kawari. I graduated from Carnegie Mellon in 2011.
Right.
And started working at Ooredoo for above 7 years. And that was mainly in marketing, product development.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where technology or digital transformation kind of like sparked and sparked my interest, because my background in Carnegie Mellon was actually business.
Okay.
It wasn't computer science or information system, which was weird, but it always works. So at that time, that's what made me pursue my master's in digital humanities. And I was fortunate to actually have it here. And we were from the first batch that graduated from HBKU of Digital Humanities and Societies. And after that, I left Ooredoo. I worked 1 year in National Tourism. And now I work as head of digital experience in QNL, International Library.
Right. So during your time in Ooredoo, I was going through your CV and it said that you introduced the policy to never pay extra for those.
Yes, I'm very proud of it.
Not to pay extra. So you introduced this policy not to pay extra for extra internet usage. So when you finish your data for that month in the pack, you don't get charged, but instead you get this kind of very low speed that keeps you going on WhatsApp, calling an Uber. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for everyone.
You are most welcome.
For everyone who just cannot control themselves and their internet usage. I think I'm almost done now, and I have 7 more days to go. So
I think that was the biggest proud moment for me in Ooredoo, and I'm glad I got to do that before I left.
I'm very curious. Can you tell us a little bit about this before we jump into this, the episode?
Yeah.
How did it start? No one has thought of it, so it wasn't existing, and then you kind of introduced it?
So what happened is that what we do is that we look at the customers' complaints, right? And every single time the customer's complaint would be, we get 5,000 on top of what our internet would be when it stops. Because once you pay out of the bundle, it's really expensive. So we were trying to find a way, and at that time we had some specific innovation or technologies that some companies were proposing to us to add.
Really?
And at that time it was to how to slow down the internet rather than cutting it off.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what usually we had, I don't know if this is confident information.
You have to talk to your PR.
Anyway, so what we did is that's how it came up. So we wanted something that would please our customers, that would differentiate us, because it was a new policy that we haven't introduced before. And that's where we worked on our new internet bundles. And they were mobile. So you would add them on top, and then whatever you would add, whatever you would pay, that would be the only amount that you would pay. You wouldn't have to pay anything extra. And that's how it worked.
Right, it's amazing, right?
It was a huge development.
I was with Vodafone, and they had this limit, but you still pay, man. You still pay 50 riyals above your kind of bundle.
Yeah.
This one you don't pay anything.
Yeah. And
you get that survival pack of WhatsApp messages,
You can still survive on it, even with the lower speed until it's renewed.
Amazing stuff, very, very practical. This is the kind of things that makes consumers come back and makes them kind of really,
I'm proud. Even though I'm not there anymore, but I'm still proud.
No, that's your
loyal.
legacy there. So you're doing all these different things. I'm just gonna name a couple of you. You did product development. You're now into digitization. You have a life coaching consultancy that required entrepreneurship experience. You're also into want to create content, making a podcast for your consultancy.
Yeah.
And you're also touching on marketing and stuff. So many avenues. And this is one of the things that we spoke about briefly when we spoke last time, is that can you comment about this mix and how do you feel about this mix coming together in your career?
Sure. So a lot of people, at least that's what I've gotten. That like a lot of people think that kind of does not make sense of having this all together. Like, why are you like branching out in different areas? Like, what's marketing, and then you're going to entrepreneurship, and then you're going to coaching, and then you're going to digital humanities, and how is this all coming together? You know, when you have a vision, like you draw it and you know what you want to do with it. So that's, for me, is very clear. It took a lot of time to put it all together. For me, is marketing is my background and I want to make use of it, right? And then digital humanities is like the area that I really want to learn more about, and I'm so excited about it. And like everything now we do, like from our phones, from this podcast, from whatever it is, everything is related to technology. It's so crazy how it became like such a important element in our life that not a lot of people can live without it, to be honest. So I want, like, it has its cons and pros, right? So I want to make sure that whatever I do is more of a pro to people, that it would actually benefit them in the long run. And this is where I wanted to get marketing and digital humanities or digitization, and then the life coaching part is where it comes from. So life coaching was a soul experience for me, and I did it just for the experience of trying to be a better person for myself. I never thought I wanted to be a life coach, to be honest. It was like self-exploration, like trying to find out who I am and what I want to do with life and all of that. And then that is where I found my passion. I'm like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. And when you have that moment, you stick to it.
It's amazing, right? Very inspiring moment.
I was very fortunate to have it. Alhamdulillah, and when having that and trying to like fit it in, I'm like, okay, I have to make this work. So I'm using my life coaching skills and using digital, for example, social media and my website and my podcast, all as a platform for me to help people be better, like how life coaching helped me become better. I think that's how it all goes in, And then entrepreneurship comes with like doing the business and getting customers,
starting something up from scratch,
like putting up the consultancy, putting up the life coaching, creating my brand and all of that. So this is how they intertwine.
Man, for me that's really, really fun, doing all these different things. I want to talk about vision. I also want to comment about you said, I found my passion in kind of, coaching people, giving advice to people. From my personal experience, when I, rare moments that I give advice to someone, like when they leave, I found myself that, this is actually advice for me as well, right? And you feel really good about that. You feel like you've just, touched on some things that are really useful for you as well. You really believe in, and that makes you a better person. I don't know if it's the same thing that you felt, why you're so passionate about this, but that's from how I feel as well.
I think
when I give advice to someone.
Yeah, exactly. So I think for me, it's when I saw the effect of it in front of me. Exactly. So first I saw a life coach and what they did to someone's life. I'm like blown away. Blown away. You have no idea like how deep it came into it, and like the realization, the aha moments they had, and I'm like, I want that for me, and I want to be able to give that to people. Like, and seeing that moment in front of them, I'm like, oh, that makes my life.
I know, right?
So that's what got me into like that moment.
And I don't want to go too deep, but then if you've been in your life, been through hardship in your life, and you overcame it, and then you look back and say, man, it would be so awesome if someone, could have helped me or reached out to me or told me that this is that, and made things much more clear for me. That would be so much worth it. And I see where the passion there is. But talking about vision, that doesn't come natural to some people. It didn't come yet to some people. That they have a kind of a vision that drives their kind of purpose. And I think it's very important to have, right?
I totally agree.
So talk about it. How did you come to that vision, and what's your recommendation for people to have to kind of explore and get to that vision as well, get to have their own?
So I think the vision cleared out when the life coaching element came in. So before, marketing and digitization, digital transformation was in my life, and I wanted to pursue something in entrepreneurship in that area. And at that time is where I started my previous company. It was an e-commerce company, so that was my like first step into entrepreneurship world, right? And that was all before life coaching. So as an e-commerce platform, I was trying to get everything together, and I didn't know anything about entrepreneurship. I went to Cubic, Qatar Business Incubation Center, and I took their program. And it was a 6-week program. I was so glad we got incubated.
Okay.
Like, the idea actually worked.
Right.
That was like in 2016.
Okay.
And then for 1 year, I was working on an idea that, in my opinion, was like, people still don't know what this idea is. And like, it's very brand new. And for 1 year, I was trying to just create that awareness of how this... So it was e-commerce for home businesses.
Okay.
So
it's a marketplace app?
Yeah, kind of like, yeah. So it was a marketplace for home businesses. So it was kind of like a one-stop shop for everything, right?
Nice.
And at that time, the peak was people communicating on Instagram, WhatsApp. And that's how you would get like your whatever you want. Like, so if it was clothes, it was food, it was whatever it is.
Yep.
Like from home businesses.
Yep.
So I wanted that one-time platform that would have everything. And at that time, you had to get someone from like, so either you get the home business first or you get the customers first. So I was working on home businesses, and at that time home businesses were so comfortable in what they were doing, no one wanted to take that extra step of doing. So that was my struggle, and I was trying so hard for 1 year. I'm like, you know what, I'll just stop it for now. I'll see how it goes, and then if I see it gets a potential again, I will pick it back up. Then I stopped it.
Okay.
And that was after like 1 year. 1 year, 1 year and a half.
Okay.
After that, I still had that like spark of, I wanted something to do in entrepreneurship. Like, I feel like I can do something. I feel like I can do something. And to be honest, I lost interest in whatever that idea was.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you lose interest. Like sometimes, like, because if you want to work on something, you have to be very passionate about it.
Right.
You have to, like, how many hours you work on it, you're still not bored. You don't, like, you see a clear idea of where it would be going.
Okay.
So at that time, this is where life coaching came in. Because I was kind of lost. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do right now? Is it this? Is it this? Who am I? What am I going to do? And life coaching came into place. And I told you, like, I really believe that I still believe that this is what my passion is. And like, what I want to do with it. So I took that idea and I'm like, how can I add it into it becoming a business, something that's profitable for me, something that people can benefit from. And that's how it all came together. So now I have Sema Coaching and Consultancy.
Okay.
And I'm doing individual coaching, executive coaching, and doing all these like different workshops, and have this podcast, and have so many ideas I have like going on. And that for me, I know that this is what I'm going to be continuing because I can see that vision.
Okay, all right. It's like you have a lot on your plate and you got some things to execute on and you're very excited about.
Yeah.
What about the content strategy for that? What do you see? Because you're a business putting out content.
Yeah.
I think like businesses are waking up to the fact that consumers are online. You know, they are on Instagram. Everyone is there. Everyone's looking at their phone. So let's actually address them.
Be there.
And like,
exactly.
Yeah, and be there and be very effective in communicating our value proposition there. So tell me about the content strategy for your podcast. For your kind of consultancy.
So what I try to do is that life coaching, even though now people are more aware of it, it's still not that common in terms of what people know about life coaching, at least here in Qatar. Right?
In the region itself.
In the region also. Mm-hmm. And this is what I'm trying to do, like create awareness, what life coaching is, like how can people benefit from it. It's not something that people think that like it's like going, for example, to
a therapist.
Exactly, which is still not wrong, to be honest, but it's like that mentality of an idea that we still have to change in the community, right? And this is what I'm really working on, like how it can benefit you, like on a personal level, professional level, in whatever area that you want. How can we support, like how can a life coach support any person in this world? And within this content, it's more like kind of like a motivation to get people's like interest sparked, and so it would either be like something that's positive. Okay, let me try to remember what I put in it. Like,
no, I see the content you're posting, right? Very uplifting content, very like prompting content.
And
like,
then at the same time, it's like no one is perfect. Like I want to get like away from the fact that people think that, for example, life coaches are perfect, they have this perfect life, or that anyone has an actual perfect life. We all go through like hardships, we all go through problems. Right? It's just a matter of how we deal with them that makes a difference between someone that gets out of it and someone that doesn't. And that's where the area that I'm trying to create, like, you need to learn how to like be aware of who you are, what triggers you, what goes on, like what are your what are the problems that you think you have, like in your mind. It might be true, it might not be true. No, so it's all of these things that I'm trying to create awareness and like make that like discussion that happens, and that's how I get people.
Yeah, I think it's a huge opportunity and huge value in talking to someone and sorting what their what the message in their like heads is. There's huge value. You can change someone's life over the course of a couple of weeks, you know, just sorting out your problems, what you want to do in life, you know, and I'm sure like there are techniques and there are like, you know, lots of, you know, scientific way to go about it, but I'm just coming from personal experience of someone just being more self-aware, like you said, can really just you know, take reins and change their life.
Exactly.
So that's the content. You're coming from an authentic place, and you know, pushing the, you know, you also mentioned that you want to give value, kind of everything you know for free. You said that's your strategy, kind of. You know, you give people first, like this is kind of what you can expect, or this is I'm trying to help you here. You know, I'm not expecting any kind of business interaction here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to help you as much as possible at scale, and I guess that's the strategy, right?
So so as you said, my strategy is give a lot of like free content and get people just more interested, that it would take them to the next level of actually being, for example, a client.
Right.
I do that not only in like my posts. I actually also do monthly like open sessions.
Really nice.
Yeah. Okay. So what we do is I have sessions called You're Not Alone. So it happens once every month. So it's an open space. It's for free. People would come and sit down, and every time it would be like a specific topic.
Right.
So sometimes like, do you actually know who you are? How do you deal with your emotions? So every month it's a specific topic. Now, for example, now they're like, we want more. Like, we want to talk about this. People, like, this is so interesting. We look forward to it. So I'm like, this is what I'm trying to get to.
Awesome. Do you record that content and post it on, you know?
I post it on Instagram story.
Okay.
I don't record that content.
No, I think you should. I think there's. Since it's free anyway, so you should kind of, you know, have a good like production of that session.
Yeah.
Cameras and microphones, like, you know, the sound is good and everything. I think it can really benefit a lot of people at scale as well.
True. I have to look into like the culture aspect. So not a lot of people,
really?
because mostly they're girls.
So people don't want to get recorded.
Yeah,
no, that's an issue. That's an issue as well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you need to. But I think
But I think it's very, very beneficial. Like even getting people like so excited. People are coming here like, we want to talk about this. Like, we want to sit down and hear what you want to what you say about this area, or we're struggling with this. And I'm like, okay, this is what I'm trying to say. Like, what are these problems that you guys are facing? What do you need help in? And that's also been like a segue to the content that I'm providing for people. Like, what I hear is what I'm trying to provide, and then that just like
that feedback, right? Exactly. You're not just in your kind of platform and just throwing content at people, right? You're trying to see where they're coming from, their exact context.
Yeah,
it's very important, right?
Yeah.
And if you hit that context, you've made a connection. You've made a connection point with someone who's like, you know, doesn't even know you, right? You're like,
exactly.
Oh, this person knows what's going on, right? And then I think that's in a nutshell, you know, social media done right, communicating to an audience done right, just contextualizing, figuring out where they're coming from. Like I have, for example, for my own podcast now, I have a couple of followers, like 300. They're already from people following me from before I started the podcast. But as someone said online is, don't focus on getting new followers, but focus on the followers you have now.
True.
Get them to kind of engage more.
Yeah.
Get some more feedback to them and focus on giving them value, and don't worry about getting new audience. And that kind of resonated with me.
Actually, to add to that point, like I had the story with one of the podcast viewers, and that person was from Saudi. I should be saying that. That person, so they contacted me on Instagram. But it's like when you have content and you want to help everyone, like everyone is a human. You don't look like who they are, what they come from, or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's fine. It's connecting with them.
I don't have a problem with the people.
There's no, I don't think there's legal repercussions to it.
Okay, good.
I think we're good.
Yeah, okay, exactly. So this person contacted me. I don't know this person at all. I didn't even know that they were following me. I didn't know that they were hearing. I didn't even know that I had a big following of people on the podcast from Saudi. until after I saw the breakdown. And then this person got there like, you changed my life.
No way.
Wow. She's like, she's been sick for a long time. Oof. And she wasn't able to like touch her devices or do anything, so she wasn't able to communicate with people. Okay. The only thing she would be able to do is, for example, hear. And she's like, at that time, the only thing that was healing me was your podcast. I'm like, wow.
That's amazing.
I know, like getting these kind of messages just like makes my life, not even my day.
Right.
Like, I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and like getting that feedback, I'm like, alhamdulillah, I mean, I'm on the right track. So
that's awesome, right? Yeah. That's really awesome. One of the beauties of just putting content at scale. Well, that's why like social media and technology is so powerful,
like, you never
right?
know whose life you can touch or whose life you can change.
I think the key word is at scale, right? This is the opportunity, right?
Exactly.
I'm so passionate about this space as well. That's why all these things are interesting to me. So I took a couple of kind of your work experiences.
Sure.
And I want to talk quickly about what the industry is like, trying to add some context to an audience who's probably students in university kind of thinking about what is it like working in Ooredoo, or what is it like to do product development, what is it like to be in a marketing career. I'm just taking these courses, and I don't know how to kind of get my foot in the door, kind of will I enjoy it working there, give them some context. Sure. And so let's start with Ooredoo experience, especially at product development.
Ooredoo was an amazing experience, and I really encourage people, whoever is going to go for a first job, make sure that this first job is actually a place that you would learn so much from, and it's not a place that we just like an office that you would sit
9 to 5
work 9 to 5 and then just leave like without benefiting from anything. Like, make sure that this is a place that it recreates you, it motivates you to learn, and you grow, even like an amount of like 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it is. Just stick with this place and learn as much as you can, and then that would be like the foundation of you going wherever you want to go. So Ooredoo was that base for me. Like, coming from Carnegie Mellon, we're so used to like working hard and like all this studying and all of that, so you're like, okay, yeah, I'm ready, let's go, I can do whatever. You go into the real world, and you're like, oh, no, okay, it's not as
I'm not ready.
what I thought. I'm not that ready. I'm ready, but I'm not that ready. And like, coming from CMU, people have certain expectations of like CMU grads, like, okay, you're a CMU grad, do this, and all of that. I'm like, okay, I can do this, but like, shway. Give me time. So I actually started in Ooredoo in Mobile Money. So Mobile Money at that time was just starting, so that was the new service they had. And I wasn't working on the product, I was working like from the financial side.
Okay.
I didn't expect I was going to be working on the financial side, but that's how it started. So I started there 2 years. Honestly, I hated it.
Ooh, okay. Right.
Because I couldn't find myself,
Right, marketing background into finance.
Actually, at that time, I didn't know what my like specialization was.
Okay,
because
so you're
like coming from business administration, you could go wherever you want, right? And I'm like, okay, let's try finance. So I was doing the financial, like all the reconciliations, all the ledgers, and all of that, and it was people's like accounts and all their money, and I'm like, I'm not finding myself. Like,
right.
For me, I couldn't see that spark.
Okay.
And at that time, I tried to get myself into like the product side. I'm like, okay, it's interesting. Like, okay, what are you guys gonna get? What are we giving them now? Like, what new services are we gonna add to Mobile Money, because it was something new? So how are we gonna create like the brand awareness of it? How are you gonna market it?
Those are things you wanted to think about.
Exactly, but I'm like on the other side. And then
awesome. No, that's good.
I was fortunate that, because I was asking all these questions, someone saw that's interesting. I'm like, why did you like join the product team?
Really? Okay.
And I'm like, really? I never thought of it.
Really?
At that time. They're like, yeah, you should come. Like, try it out. See, like, it's just like a shift from. It's still in Ooredoo, but it's like a shift to another department. I'm like, okay, cool. Started there. I'm still fortunate and like grateful for this person that like saw that spark.
Nice.
And they helped me like reel into product development. So they like gave me like the basics. I'm like, this is how it works. I'm gonna get you like in these meetings. We're gonna go here. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. You're gonna be dealing like literally with the whole company, because as product managers, you're a project manager, right?
Right.
So you have like finance. You have You have what is it called? You have retail, you have technology, you have communications, you have all these different
the IT behind you,
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So you have like all these stakeholders that you have to like manage and make sure that the product comes out in time. And time constraint was the biggest thing in Ooredoo, right? Because you had to launch in a certain time, or the competition will take it, or if you wanted to be the first. So like competition was like, you have to do it now. You have to do it now.
Was that stressful or exciting?
Stressful and exciting.
Both?
Very stressful and very exciting. But I learned so much. I learned so much. So I got to meet like the CXOs, and you just started working, and you had to present to them, and you had to like make sure that like they're convinced of what you're trying to provide. Once you get their approval, and then you go to like different entities. So technology, you had to write the requirements. Even though you didn't have a technical background, but you're like, okay, I want to make sure that this works like this works like this. So you sit with them, exactly. So they translate it into technical requirements. At the same time, you have to sit with like branding, marketing, communication. So okay, so what are the advertising like areas that we want to do? Do you want to do like outdoor, indoor? Do you want to do it online, social media? What do you want to do? Then retail, so you have to train the people who would work in retail to exactly.
So you talk to the teams that train.
No, I train the people.
You go directly to the
I go directly and train the people.
Really?
So they set it up, and then we go and train the call center. We go and train the people in the retail to make sure like we have to write like the FAQs of the whole product, of all questions that people would have. You had to make sure that was like in Arabic and in English, so you had to convey both. So like the business case, it also has to be approved and all of that, and working like very closely with technology. And then you had like the user acceptance testing. Really? So the testing had to have like, you have certain scenarios that you had to test. It's a long process. I'm sure I forgot a lot of departments, but at the end, like at that time when it goes live, like at midnight, usually it's midnight because not a lot of people are busy. At midnight, it goes live. Make sure that everything's working fine, like on the live station. You try it all over again. You make sure all the marketing, like the advertising is like outside, done, published. Like for a couple of days, you're still like stressed. Like, okay, everything is working out. Okay, and then you're like, okay, alhamdulillah, done.
No repercussions. Like you didn't get any text or from the.
And then it's just like the other product, the new product, the new promotion or the new whatever it is.
Has it been rewarding in terms of seeing the customers interact with that after it's in the market? Yeah, talk to me about that.
Yes. Like when you hear people are like, oh no, we're using this, I'm like in your mind, you're like, yeah, I did that. Yeah. I've helped people do that. I think that's what also made me live, like that thing in life coaching and enterprise development is very similar. Like seeing the effect on people, like seeing how they're benefiting from it. So I loved it, like seeing people like go by and like subscribe, and then like seeing like the peak. Like there was some really proud moments where like my product, like out of all, I don't want to like brag about it, but like my product out of all like would be profitable.
Really?
And like, oh wow.
Oh, that's like, important.
Exactly,
right? That's
right?
very important in a business setting, right?
It's important for
yeah, I mean everyone in the company would love you then, like
Alhamdulillah.
Awesome. So I think product management is an interesting career choice if you're someone that wants to do different things. If you're strong on communication, from what I'm getting from you. Yeah. And if they want to do so many different things at once and talk to so many different functions at once.
I think it helps you a lot, like with networking and creating your contacts, right? Because you're in contact with all these different departments. Sometimes you don't have that, like the opportunity for you. Like if, at least this is what I saw, and I felt like that helped me a lot because I'd get to know people, make these connections, and خلاص, يعني we start to understand each other. Okay, if we have this, I know that you would know what what we need to get this. So we all work as a team. Okay. And that just like creates a bigger network for you, like all your contacts and all of that. I think that helped me a lot.
Right, you know a lot of people from different spaces, right?
Exactly.
And it helps you later on if because you're, again, you have so many kind of things on your plate to execute on. Yeah. A business, a career, a job, and knowing a broad range of people just to ask advice or ask them to get you to kind of put you on a meeting with someone else. Yeah. Has that worked for you in the past or? Right.
Of course.
Very useful, right?
Very useful.
Yeah, my biggest mistake in university was not knowing it and not shaking as many people's hands as possible in the beginning, right? I think freshman year I was just trying to look cool, and I was just in my own kind of.
I think
bubble.
everyone in freshman year was like kind of lost.
I know, right?
It's very common.
In so many ways, right?
So many ways. You're like, am I doing? Is this what I want to do? Like, do I know these people? Where do I go? It's a lot.
I remember Vidal. I think a couple of weeks back he was in this episode in his freshman kind of year, and just still meeting everyone, and he was like, I'm so excited to join the economics program. And they looked at him like, there's no economics program, bro. It's just business. So one of the kind of, experience of freshman year.
I was trying to, it's a very long time. But I'm trying to remember how my freshman year was actually. Like, I remember, like, I wasn't even in activities until, like, sophomore or junior year. Like, getting into clubs and all of that.
Which is important, right?
Exactly. Very, very, very important. Like, freshman year for me, I was, like, so focused. I'm like, I'm just going to study. I'm going to do this. I think I was like freaking out for some reason, but then I'm like, oh no, this is cool. Like I need to get out there. I need to get to know people and all of that. So yeah,
it's such a safe place to figure out what you want, and I didn't leverage it. I feel as much as I could, trying different clubs.
Yeah.
So why do you feel it's important?
I think just to understand what you want. Like, okay, we all, for example, for me, I studied business administration, but business administration is very broad.
Very
like
broad.
You could go anywhere. Like you could go to strategy, finance, marketing, a lot. And for me, I didn't know where I wanted to go, right? And that helped me in a way, in a sense that to define, like all these different clubs and being part of it helped me define what I wanted. So, like even in activities, like for example, the internal case competition.
That changed my life.
That changed
my
life.
Go on.
So at that time, I don't know if they still have it or not. So we had the newspaper all around. I don't know if it's
newspaper
still there.
all around. I'm not sure I heard that.
Okay.
What is it?
So it was the official CMU news, like student newspaper.
Like the media thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So writing, editing, and at that time I think also I became like editor-in-chief. So it's like managing all these like writers, editors, getting everything together. Yeah. I think that was sparked like the whole project management kind of thing.
Nice.
There was what else? Like what kind of clubs we had? We had like the business association club. We had all these different events that would happen. So I think junior year is where I started doing all of this, and it helped me so much. I think I still wish I did more. Yeah, I still wish I did more. I don't know if I had the time or I was just like trying to stay in my comfort zone, but I wish I did more to explore and like be in a certain situation where I really knew what I wanted to do before I went to the corporate. Yeah,
because you also had when you entered 2 years into finance and then figured out that wasn't for me, right?
Like I would have saved 2 years of not doing finance. Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, it's great how it played out today, but an advice to students is: if you don't do it now, if you stay in your comfort zone, if you don't meet as many people as possible, try new things as possible in a safe environment that's like Carnegie Mellon or Education City or even Qatar University, you are going to pay for it in years later.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
I want to move into your kind of current job at QNL, the head of digital experience. Is that moving away from product development, or is the battery dead? Okay, come here a little bit. All right, fine. Okay, that's fine.
It's actually still in the product development field, but it kind of now that I have this experience in digital humanities and digitization, and this is where I wanted to like bring them both together and do digital experience, because for example, digital experience content and services, I did this when I was in Ooredoo, so I was in charge of digital services. Before it was part of the products that I was in charge of at that time. So making sure so this is more like of the experience side, that was on the product side. So here it's more of the experience of like the digital area. So it's the websites, it's the digital screens, it's the online services and all of that. So it's all the different digital interactions that you have with the user, the experience of how they would flow into it. So this is now what I'm in charge of. It's kind of a new area for me, but I'm so excited because I've never worked in it. And I'm really, really excited. I feel like it's like product development plus like my master's coming together and doing this. So I just started like a month and a half ago. So I'm very excited.
I'm guessing this kind of career path or this task requires a lot of empathy for the user.
Yes.
Right?
Because it's it's not what we know, it's how people use it.
How people use it, right?
So we might think like from an experience perspective that this is what, for example, like how to click to get to a certain page, right? So we might think that people are going to click this, and this, but they might just take a shortcut.
I know,
they're just
right?
like 2 clicks, khalas, they're done. Or they might not even get to that page because they're so frustrated of the steps that people are taking. So we always have to see it from consumer perspective. How can we make this better? How can we enhance it? How can we create more interaction, more activity on, like, for example, the website, the online resources, or whatever it is. So
making things like frictionless, like,
yes,
frictionless and seamless, and just someone goes and has an experience. I think in this age of convenience, that's like key, right?
Exactly.
Right, it needs to work.
Yeah.
They need to go in there, and if they're trying it for the first time, especially that first experience of when I click this button,
it doesn't get me to anything, I'm not gonna click again. Literally, it was close to that. Exactly, you lost the user.
Lots of empathy for the user. I think it fits kind of your profile of behavior, kind of patterns, and just caring for the end user. Yeah. Lovely stuff. Can you tell us a little bit more about your initiatives here, and what are you trying to achieve, your projects, or that like still kind of shaping up, because you're just kind of hit the ground running, right?
So I'm in charge of Qatar Digital Library. I don't know if a lot of people heard about it, but we have this digital library that Qatar owns. So it's part of Qatar National Library Initiative. So we have all these different historical, like, books, audio, videos, things that we kind of store. So having, like, it's like this library but online, but it's for specific content. So it's mainly focused on the Gulf and all of that. So we have a lot of initiatives
local, like contextualized, or like in the region.
Exactly.
Interesting. Okay.
And there's a lot of other projects that we're trying to put in, so it's not where we want it to be, but I think that's why, like, they got someone to do it. But we have all these certain projects that we're working on right now. We're trying to make like this, like, a full one page that people can just go through and experience anything that's digital. Either be it, because I know, like, for example, as students or as researchers, you use this online resources, like getting all these different texts, PDFs, journals, whatever it is. So it's all of that in one place. Making that experience, making that experience very easy to use, and at the same time, like a one-stop shop kind of thing. So this is what I'm working on right now. I can't say more, but
I realized.
Yeah.
So for QNL, do you see for like opportunities for internships for students? Is that a thing where students can kind of leverage this institution to kind of, like, what are some of the kind of ways that students can help in this organization? Even if it's not advertised yet.
Yeah.
But can students fit in this ecosystem of what QNL's mission is and what they're trying to achieve in terms of internships or like full-time jobs in the future, or is there a way to collaborate?
So even as like a national library, they still have like certain areas. So they do have like products, but their products are different than, for example, what kind of products that we're talking about, right? So their products or their value are the people and, for example, the books or the content. It's the repositories that they have. So you still have, for example, the finance. You still have the marketing and communications. You still have the product development. You still have all of these, and it's a very, honestly, like, from experience, it's a very beautiful, first of all, because of the building.
It's pretty. This
beautiful building.
Is pretty.
It's like, that can just be a reason for you to get up and come to work. But even the environment, like, even what you're trying to work on and trying to make, like, enhance, because I think for me, like, even like a national library as an idea for locals, at least, is not that common. Like, okay, what do we do in a national library? Where do we actually buy the book, or do we borrow the book? And what are the resources that they have?
Right.
So we're still creating that awareness, because launching the library, I think it's just been 2 years, right?
Right.
So it's still brand new.
Still brand new.
Yeah, still brand new. So there's so much that you can do, and so much that you can do.
I didn't know what to expect. What coming here 2 years ago, I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
But then I came here, I'm like, oh, workshops, oh, like a place that we can record this podcast in. Oh, you know,
they have
useful things, right?
a lot of things, like even the auditorium where they do like a lot of like speeches and stuff. For example, they just added where an English professional can help you with your like essays, your research, and all of that.
Nice.
Like the rooms that they have right now, and all the labs and everything. It's very like the dimensional.
Okay.
That it doesn't fit into like one definition of what a library is.
Right.
And that's what I love about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have like innovative products that students can kind of keep an eye out on and think about.
Yeah.
And before we leave the career path of product management, what do you think some of the skills students need to pick up in university to kind of get themselves ready for this career path?
For product development?
Yes.
I think management is very important. I know we took a couple courses like in terms of management. You might think it's not very important, but it is.
A course in management.
Yeah, a course in management.
They still offer it?
I don't know if they still offer it or not, but I remember we took I don't remember who the professor is, but like any courses that would help you in managing, like management of teams, management of like even people, certain things, this would help a lot. For me, business presentations was like a key course. Like I recommend not even only business students, but everyone to take it.
Right.
This was like a shift for me. It was like it helped a lot because it's all about presenting yourself, making your idea clear. Presentation skills, like even talking and all of that makes a huge difference of how you present yourself to others. Right,
even your slides, your caption message on the slide.
Everything. And it makes a difference. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, one thing that's like, I've never seen anywhere else except in business presentations and business communication taught by Professor McGinnis in Carnegie Mellon.
Yeah.
Is the fact that very unique is when you give a presentation or a strategic proposal, any presentation, how he makes the theme tie in together, and kind of it has, cause the presentation has like some segments to it, right? The introduction, the kind of agenda, and then the content itself, and then the call for action when you can't leave the room. He has this famous phrase that says, I think his father told him this: "Did you do what you came here to do?" Right? Yeah, very inspiring professor. Like I want to talk to him, talk about him at length, but. That course, right, teaches you how to put a presentation together, create a theme for it, and the theme can be driven by those caption messages in each slide, and the end result is just something beautiful.
Yeah.
Like you look at a presentation, like, okay, I'm sold, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. And you can see it from people's eyes. Yeah, when they're sold on the idea and when they're not. And I think even like recognizing that, like, helped from the class, like to be able to recognize, okay, you got their attention or you're not. It's like the first couple of seconds, are they with you or they're not?
You noticed in the class itself, right? When you were doing the presentations, right?
Yeah.
Visuals, kind of what needs to be on a slide.
Visuals, how to even like stand, how to like your hand movement, your body language, all of that's very helpful.
Right, very important.
Very important. Another class that was important for me, which I didn't think it was business Arabic.
Really?
Yes. We're so used to like communicating in English, like even in university and all of that. When you go to the real world, you have to communicate in both, right?
Right.
And for English, we know like the phrases, the business phrases, and how to communicate and all of that. But to be able to translate it in Arabic sometimes is really hard.
It's really hard, right?
It's really hard. Like even in business context, like you know how to speak, for example, like as a Qatari, you know how to speak, you know how to communicate. But for example, to have it in a specific email or to write a report about it, that for me was really hard to use the right words.
Right.
So that class, I didn't think it would, but like coming back, I'm so grateful. I took that class.
Yeah, I think for Arabic speakers, it's kind of a skill, attainable skill.
Yes.
But like for non-Arabic speakers, it's going to be a little bit hard.
Of course.
But for like Arabic speakers, it's very essential, especially when you're working in a public sector.
Public, semi-government, you deal a lot.
You will not escape, right?
So I had this 1 year in tourism, right? And most of the communication was in Arabic. So this is where I used it in Ooredoo, but this is where I'm like, thank God I took that course because it did it did help me a lot, a lot.
Who taught that course?
I don't want to say her name wrong.
Is it still
Susan?
Is it still Do they still give this course?
She's still in Carnegie Mellon.
What, Arabic?
Yeah, Arabic.
Business Arabic.
Zainab.
Yes.
Oh,
Dr.
that's
Zainab.
I'm
it.
taking a course right now with her.
Yes.
Arabic for the professions. I don't know if it was.
That's the same one. So
Okay.
I think it was called Business Arabic before.
Yeah.
For the professionals.
Arabic for professionals.
Nice. Okay. All right.
Yes, Dr. Zainab.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
So bad with names.
So how do students get kind of these are the skills they need, some of the useful courses
Yes.
they should take, breaking into the industry, right? How should they position themselves? What should they put in their CV? Perhaps management skills you mentioned, presentation skills. They should make it very clear that they can present,
Yeah.
that they can manage people
Yeah.
in their work experience in their CV. I've managed this event, I managed it. What else can you think about in terms of just positioning yourself to get hired for an entry role?
Yeah. I think from experience, when I started and now coming from a managerial role where we're trying to hire people, the first thing that we look at, for people that are new to the corporate world, is mainly the soft skills. You get the experience book. What are the soft skills that you're gonna bring here? And how willing are you? How willing are you to learn and grow, and just make use of the moment that you have? I think that's what we look for. It's not about what your background. To be honest, for me, it's not about what your background is or how high your GPA is.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about the experience and the the soft skills that you bring in.
You mentioned willingness to learn.
Very important.
Haytham was here last week,
Very
and that's what he said in terms of, because they're a startup, a Mudarris startup,
Yeah.
and he mentioned when he's hiring, he wants to see on the CV that the student has demonstrated willingness to learn.
Yes.
That by picking up something new, like hobbies,
Yeah.
kind of extracurriculars,
Yeah,
it's so important, right?
very.
What does it say about someone that they're willing to learn that you think is going to translate into success in the workplace?
So, because you're coming in as a new person, right, in the corporate world, first of all, we know that we're not expecting you to know everything.
Right.
It's the fact that your willingness to grasp and grow is what we're looking for, right? And this is what we base our recommendation of whether we want to hire you or not. If you're not willing to learn, then why are you here?
Mm-hmm.
If you think that you have it all, then why do you want to enter the corporate world? You know,
Right.
that kind of mentality makes a huge difference of the person that would really stick to a job and want to learn, and the person that would just want a job just for the sake of having a job.
Right.
And that's what differentiates people.
So 3 things I can pick up from this: management skills, get it,
Yes.
get management skills, and then show it in your CV when you're applying for jobs. Soft skills, presentations, communication, interpersonal.
Yeah.
And the third thing is just be willing to learn. If you're not someone who's going out of their comfort zone enough and trying new things, do that and show it in your CV. I think these 3 things are very important.
I think even for management, it's not like when you learn about management, it's not that something has to be huge that you manage. It could be a certain thing. For example, from experience, even the clubs, if you're gonna do something that you manage, small event, that shows your management skills.
Right.
It's not about you have to go big or go home, right? It's just showing the willingness of doing that, and it makes a difference, in my opinion.
Okay. Let's go to the head of promotions, National Tourism Council. This
Yes.
is this is not the ministry. Is it the ministry?
They're not a ministry; they're a council,
Right.
but they are government.
Okay, there. But that's the official entity of tourism?
Yeah.
That's the one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So there, I was head of promotions for 1 year. That was the first government entity that I worked in. So that itself was an experience for me. Going from a semi-government to a government. I'm glad that I went to a government because it lets you see the different aspects of expectations. Private is totally different. The semi-government is totally different than government. And for me, I was fortunate enough to work there. As I said, it brought up different skills that I learned from that I learned that I didn't think I would learn in such an entity.
Public sector, huh?
Exactly, public sector.
Works differently, right? I've heard someone say this.
Totally different. Totally different. You have these expectations.
Right?
It was me.
It was you.
It was you on what?
Who told you about
the public sector?
Right.
Because I worked for a consultant who worked for a public sector entity.
Yeah.
And so you see the different expectation from the private part
Yes.
versus, you know,
Yeah.
the public.
Yeah.
So could you actually, sorry for
No,
it's
go
okay,
ahead.
go ahead.
Just come. Just come.
About,
Just you can handle the show.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
No, just kidding.
I'm
Just
great.
kidding. Just kidding.
Just could you please elaborate on the differences between working for like the public sector versus, you know, the private sector?
Okay.
If that's not, you know.
No, it's okay. I could go ahead, but it would be mostly like my opinion rather than just like.
No, that's good.
So for me, I feel like based on my education, like in my background, I didn't fit in well within the public sector. In terms of like even ways of working and how they're dealing with things, there it's all about your connections. It's all about who you know and how to get things done. This is what's gonna get you like places. This is what to get your work done. It's all about who you know and how to get them, how to communicate. So it's all about networking skills. That I learned so much.
Okay.
That like I had that in Ooredoo, but I learned it like on another level there. Like connections in the country. It's not like even in the company. It's like in the country. Yeah. So that's very important. Another thing that I learned, I think it set my Arabic communication skills very differently. I had that, but I never thought that was like a strength for me. And working in a place that was like mainly Arabic speaking people and all of that helped me so much. So much. Yeah. So now, having it in English and in Arabic, I think is like alhamdulillah, is a strength for me. Yeah, to have both.
So you can speak both the two languages or more, but then one of them might not be a strong communicator in one versus the other, right?
Yeah.
Especially in a professional setting.
Exactly. Yeah. So that helped me a lot. Another thing was, for example, for the tourism, I worked with the international offices, so I still had that area, but like dealing with like the teams that are here, dealing with the different entities, because even national tourism, you had like all the different governments that you had to get approval from, like the finance and all of that. So dealing all of these together I think it was a beautiful experience for me. What else is different? I think it's less diverse in the government than in like semi or private sectors. There you'll find a lot of concentration of Qataris. When I worked in Ooredoo, we had Qataris, but I worked a lot with like expats and non-Qataris, right? And that change also was different for me, but I learned so much from it. Having like a full team, for example, of Qataris and dealing with them and having like certain expectations, like in cultural boundaries and all of that. Even as a Qatari, for me, because I had a different background growing up, not only in university, so it was good to see all the different backgrounds and just learn from them. And in a way, they're diverse in their own way, but different diversity of what I was used to. So even learning that, I think, was a plus for me. I think these are like the main interest, but like how work flows and all of that, it depends on how the company sets it up, and it's going to differ from each company and all of that. So
it's like networking is a big thing in public sector, right?
Huge. If you're going to work in a public sector, make sure you know your people. If you don't know your people, you're not going to get your job done.
So how do you?
This is my experience.
If you're in a place in a company where you're obviously going to meet some people here and there.
Yeah.
And you're in contact with, people higher up in like the corporate scale, the government scale. What's your personal approach of creating a connection? You go into a meeting, you're gonna meet someone who's like a bit higher up. Are you deliberate in terms of getting to know them, or kind of making sure you save them as a contact, or you grow your network with them?
Yes, exactly. So I was fortunate enough to be part of a committee for it was like a confidential thing, right? And that was my first confidential committee that I was in.
You guys have a WhatsApp group or something? It was
like very confidential. There wasn't a WhatsApp group, but then like the only thing that like they would contact you have to come now. I'm like, okay. Okay.
On the phone, they have a phone.
On the phone.
Oh, okay. It's a phone.
On the phone. And for that committee, yes, like a lot of confidential.
The Avengers.
The Avengers. So at that time, it wasn't me because I had to fill in for my director, right? So I took that opportunity. I'm like, I want to make sure that when I get out there, people know who I am.
Okay.
I had my business cards ready. I put them like an hour before I went to the meeting, like make sure they're there, make sure I introduce myself to everyone, make sure everyone knows that Gigi and all of that. And then when you go to the meeting, because you have all these heads, like from the country, people are like, you're like, you look up to these people and you're like, oh, you never thought that you would meet them. And then you're in a meeting room with them. I'm like, you never get this opportunity. So you just make sure that you make use of this as much as you can. So you go introduce yourself, make sure you are well-spoken, make sure that you, in a way, show your strength in front of them, because making that impression is what's going to make people remember you.
Okay.
That meeting, for example, it was something that was new for me, but I wanted to make sure that I had to say something. And that something had to be something beneficial and not just saying, yeah, exactly.
Pressure.
To create.
No, I'm saying that's a lot of pressure, right?
It is a lot of pressure.
So I cut you off. I want you to continue that sentence. You were saying like that thing was...
So, I forgot what I was saying. So it was, so in making sure that whatever you're going to say is actually something that's important and you're not just saying it for the sake of saying it.
Right. And at the same time, it has to be said, so it's a bit forced, but at the same time, it has to bring value.
Exactly.
So pressure, right?
A lot.
Okay.
A lot. But you just need to be like in the moment to make sure that say it now. Because if you don't say it, another person is going to say it, trust me, and it happened. So just creating that impression and making people are like, oh, okay, this girl or this guy, yes, I remember you. Even if they, for example, forget your name, but they remember that you said this thing in this,
right?
Yeah.
And that can apply for like students in like, they have a lot of Dean lecture series in Carnegie Mellon, where like people who are coming to speak and they're very important people. And if you can just come listen to what they have to say or do a little research on their topic that they're researching and ask a question or two, it's going to be scary because you're asking in a public setting, you know, with a microphone and everything, so you might be a little... But, you know, Professor McGinnis said this once, you know, they kind of, you know, they remember, oh, that was a sharp kid, you know, that...
Of course they do.
Right?
Creating that impression, I think, just... Yeah, you remember the people that created an impression on you. You never forget them.
You never forget
them.
So
right? It's the same thing for other people. So it's that one moment, you make sure that it's memorable. Whatever you say, it's memorable.
Yeah, some students in CMU, they just, when these like Dean lecture series comes, they don't give it as much value or they don't see it as an opportunity to go and listen to something that's perhaps, you know, remotely interesting to them or somewhere close to what their, you know, their interests are. They just let it go. They don't go or just show up last minute for the food or something. But
I think like having even that glimpse of how like all these different people's, that, for example, the speaker series and even like the talks where they bring, for example, alumni to come and talk about their experience. Yani, listening from the other side of life, like the corporate world, it's always important.
It's always important, right?
It's always important.
And I cannot tell you how empty those meetings are. Like Tartan Talks, you get 4 people who have been in the industry. They come and talk, and it's just like 6 or 7 people coming in like lunchtime. Oof. Like, it's important.
I've done one. It was sad in a moment because I was like, people come, and you just listen. You don't have to say anything. Just like listen, broaden your experience. Maybe something's just gonna spark something in you that you might remember. You're gonna take it to the corporate world. You're gonna remember, oh, this person said this. I might need to focus on this.
Right.
You never know.
Lots of ways.
I would like to say something. Recently, they've been like, there's been really big attendance.
Really?
Nice.
To these certain talks.
Okay.
I think it's because the new classes are so dedicated and they actually realize that there is such a big competition when it comes to like the marketplace, the job marketplace. And so it's been much better. Like
alumni event.
That's good to hear. That's really good to hear.
Alumni event a couple of months back. We had these chairs and so many freshmen. Like, you guys just started, and you guys are already interested in talking to alumni.
Oh, that's really good.
It's really interesting. I think it has to be coming from somewhere. I think it's the admissions team making better decisions.
Recently, there's been a lot of international students, so I think it's that.
Oh.
I don't know. That's
international
just like
students,
huh? That's just kind of like a theory that I have, that, you know, they realize that it's really difficult to find a job, especially where they're from, and so they're like very adamant on attending these alumni talks and I think this is stuff. Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
But yeah, so it's been much better than what you guys are describing.
I would love to connect to these students, some of these ambition people, and
But then if your theory is because they're international students, I know we're kind of off topic, but if your theory is
correlational, I'm not so sure. It's just something that I noticed and I was thinking.
Correlation, I like that word.
Correlation.
Yeah.
Regression. I don't know when you said correlation, I remembered regression.
Who taught you regression?
Rojas.
Ah, okay.
I don't think you guys.
No, we had Gasper. Professor Gasper.
It's like the worst class. I'm sorry.
Really?
Class.
You just been.
I loved it.
I hate
it. Depends on the professor. It depends on the professor.
It depends. Yes, I totally agree.
Have you heard of Gasper? He has a great reputation for being a very, very good professor in terms of in terms of.
You guys are lucky.
Yeah. The regression was like tough and
it was tough.
Bit boring, but then he made it. He made us like kind of create models that would give you business value out of them. You know, you predict
really
sales, you predict this, so it kept you very interested in the course.
Yeah.
And then the way he spoke, like his pace at speaking was very, very. You can listen to him all day. Professor Gasper. Really good. But yeah, we're over time. So, but no one is kicking us out of the room. So. Let's kind of end the discussion with anything you'd like to say to students or kind of general tips and advice, just like a message to students.
I think for students coming in the corporate world, don't set expectations. Come in and learn as you grow.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't think that there's certain things that you have to achieve from a certain timeline. For some students, they can achieve it in 1 year. From some students, they can achieve it in 5. So that's, at least coming into the corporate world, don't set that expectation once you enter.
Mm-hmm.
See how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Try to learn what benefits you and how you can grow from it. And then set your expectations on what you want to achieve and how your success plan is going to be and where you want to go out of it. I think this is very important because I did come in with setting expectations.
Right.
And then learn from it.
And then very different outcome, right? Because
exactly.
You have an idea in mind. You go into a environment or an ecosystem where zero predictability, right?
Yeah, and if you do this, like if you have like really high expectations and then they turn lower, it's like a defeat for you. And then that would demotivate you in actually like pursuing something and doing something. So
right.
I think just go in like with a clean state, and then set it once you know how everything works, because you think you know, but when you're in the real world, it's kind of different.
It's like talking to someone and you're having a meeting with someone. That's that's our signal. All right, just gonna wrap this up. The last idea was we're talking to someone and it's a meeting and you think what they're thinking or where they're coming from, and then you go to the actual meeting and then it's a completely different context, right? Yeah. Totally different context.
Yeah.
All right, I'll wrap it up. Thank you so much for coming, Asma.
Thank you for having me.
Loved having you. Enjoyable conversation. Thank you, Iman, for coming in with kind of comments as well, enriching it. And that's it. Hope to have you in future episodes.
I'd love to be.
Yeah, and I'm very, very curious about like your own podcast and kind of how you.
We could talk about it in another podcast.
A podcast about a podcast.
A podcast about a podcast.
But no,
that's a good title. A podcast about a podcast.
There's someone who did it, so.
Oh really?
Yeah, there's someone who had a podcast about starting a podcast company where they talk to people who want to make podcasts. He had like 10 or 15 of them.
Yeah.
And he created this media company where he empowers people to have podcasts. And he documented the journey in a podcast.
Oh,
and then
cool.
he sold the media company to, I think, Amazon. Yeah, he sold like the company to Amazon. That was interesting.
I'll look it up. I never heard of it.
All right, thank you so much.
My idea.
Thank you so much for our audience for listening in, and of course follow me on social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. No one's on YouTube. It's like just a long video. No one's watching it. But Instagram and LinkedIn, that's where the stuff is at. Do you want to have your social media handles?
Yes. First of all, thank you, buddies, for having me.
Sweet.
And I love talking to you and to the listeners, and I really hope that they can benefit from whatever we said within this podcast. And if you guys want to follow me on Instagram, it's at sama.coaching. So Sama is AA. and LinkedIn is the same thing. And thank you. That's it.
Thank you so much, guys.
See you.
See you next episode.